Hello and welcome to the Happy Families podcast. So good of you to join today. The doctor's desk, something a little different. Normally Kylie and I talk about some brand new science, but this time some educators in Melbourne's West in childcare settings have seen significant benefits from switching off technology, including better sleep, better speech, and better engagement across all age groups. Today we talk with Anna Russell, Pedagogy, Research and Practice Manager, to understand a bit more about this experiment, this study, and why it's not happening more across childcare settings and schools right around the nation. That's next. Stay with us. G'day, this is the Happy Families podcast, a doctor's desk episode where we unpack what's going on research-wise and how it affects you, your family, your children. Today on the podcast, a conversation with Anna Russell. Anna is a Pedagogy, Research and Practice Manager at Best Chance Early Learning Centres across Victoria. Anna has over 20 years of experience in early childcare education, qualified kindergarten teacher. She's dedicated her career to working in early years settings with a strong focus on supporting children and families in vulnerable communities. Anna is right at the very core of what this research is, and she joins me now. Anna, thanks for being on the pod. Tell me, where did this research come from and what did you actually do?
Hi, Justin. Thank you so much for having me on the podcast today. Where did this research come from? This research came from a question that we were grappling with around, I'm not sure if you are aware, but we have the National Model Code that's recently been introduced in early years. And it is all about being much more stringent with the use of technology in early years. So we decided to not just stick to the new regulations, but to actually use this as a moment to antagonize our attitudes and our beliefs around the use of technology, not just in the classroom, but in our teaching practice. Teaching is an art form and it is becoming more and more dominated by technology. And we were questioning the impact of that on teaching and on children.
Okay, so we've got kids under the age of 5. The new frameworks say let's reduce it, but you're saying, well, how far can we go? Like, what can we really do? If that's the minimum standard, what else can we do? So you've done this study. You have 17 early learning centres in Best Chance?
Yes.
And did you run across the whole thing? Or?
Yeah, so we're right across Victoria. So we're from Warragul to Geelong. I'm sitting in Geelong at the moment. And we have 17 services. Predominantly those are 3 and 4-year-old kindergartens, but we also do long daycare as well. So birth to 6.
Okay.
And all of my career has been birth to 6 as well. So what we did late last year, we took one of our services, which is one of our long daycare services, and we thought we would antagonize this thought. So what we did is what we called it a digital detox. So we took all digital technology out of the classrooms and we said we would do it for a period of 5 days because there was a world of hesitation. So what I asked teachers to do was take 0 photos. I asked teachers to only use music that they could produce themselves. So there was no Spotify, there was no iPads, there was no cameras, there was no YouTube, there was nothing for 5 days. Because what we wanted to question was how much of that teaching will be outsourcing to our devices.
And you rolled this out over the course of the week. What happens?
Oh my goodness. Firstly, I was not a popular person. I really wasn't, because the teachers were scared because they had also relied on these devices. They had relied on this technology. A teacher said to me, how are the babies going to sleep without music? Another teacher said to me, how are children going to pack up if I can't play the pack up song? And I was like, wow, hang on a minute. Are we raising children or are we raising Pavlov's dog? And so we had this conversation about conditioning and critical thinking, and they started to like me again. After a couple of days, I started to get emails from the team going, I've never gone home more tired, but more fulfilled. So at the end of 5 days, the best thing happened was I got a phone call from the director of the service and said, are you okay if we do this for another 5 days? And I'm like, well, there you go. That's the best evidence that this research is having an impact. At the end then of 2 weeks, the teachers were saying things like there is far less behavioural support required in the classroom. There was a lot more babbling from babies. Children were being more experimental. In one of the classrooms, it was like the teacher said, I'm not sure if it was a coincidence, but 3 of the babies got up and started walking this week. And we had to go, wow, I wonder if because our teachers were more engaged, more responsive, and the children felt greater connected to their caregiver, they felt more confident.
Yeah.
And it was just remarkable.
Yeah, really interesting.
What we didn't get is a lot of feedback from families, which is what we were expecting. We were expecting, where are my photos? Where's this? Where's that? Why hasn't there been anything on Story Park, which is our documentation platform? We didn't hear any of that. And we take that silence as a real positive, that nothing changed for the families.
Listening to you say that, Anna, it feels for me like it's very confirmatory. It confirms all of the biases that I have as a result of the research that I've looked at, but also just that that innate desire that we all have to be human and to have human experiences rather than having these digital synthetic experiences day in and day out,
Yes.
and pushing them into our children's lives at younger and younger ages, having photos taken all day, every day. This almost performative aspect of what childcare
Yes.
has become. I'm thinking through this at a really practical level. I'm kind of thinking, okay, so you've done that. You've run it across 2 weeks. The staff have been really satisfied with it. The parents have found that it's quite fine. There's no dramas there. You've had really nice outcomes. The early learning centre feels like it's a more peaceful, more positive place. People are feeling more meaning and purpose in their work. It feels like there's just boxes being ticked everywhere. Were there any negatives at all that came out of going through this digital detox in that one early learning service where you ran this experiment?
No. And that's why we're running it again, because it was such a small snippet. So now we're running it across all 17 because we want to test that theory. We really want to see if there are any negatives that are going to come out of this. And we're 4 days into the second round, and so far, again, there hasn't been any negatives. We still, and I will say, we still do use digital technology for compliance.
Right, of course.
So all of our safety stuff or anything to do with child safety, child protection, all of that, we absolutely still use technology for that. And we are still engaging in families in an online forum outside of the classroom. But in the classroom, it is all just about connection. And families are feeling connected because they're not only are children having more face-to-face time with their teachers, but their families are having face-to-face time with their teachers. And as you said in the intro, I work in vulnerable communities, so that connection is absolutely paramount. Absolutely paramount.
I had a couple of other questions, but I feel like we've really covered everything that I wanted to ask, with one exception. The last question that I want to hit you with, Anna, today is, if I'm living in South Australia or Sydney or Queensland, no matter where I am, if I'm listening, I'm thinking, well, hang on, this isn't happening in my children's early learning centre. What options do parents have if they're not involved with the work that you're doing? What options do parents have if they really want to see a reduction in screens and digital intrusion in their children's educational journey starting from those earliest years? Where do they go? What do they do? It's a little bit tricky because a lot of the early learning centres that I spend time in are barreling down this highway at 100 miles an hour.
I completely agree with you. A lot of the services are doing that. There's that attitude that more is more. And what I would say to parents is I would say to parents to challenge that. I would say to parents to say to their child's teachers, what I need is a happy child to come home. I don't need 14 photos every day. I don't need to log on at the end of the day. And if my child's not in the photos, I'm not going to go, oh my goodness, what was my child doing all day? What I need from you, I'd be really clear with the teacher. What I need from you is to send my child home happy, healthy, knowing more than what they did when they walked in this morning.
It's funny. I'm just listening to you say that, and my youngest, a couple of my kids were at early learning centres when the digital stuff was happening, but my youngest is now 12, so it's obviously increased in pace since she left there. But I never looked at the photos. I never logged into the portals. I didn't care. I just wanted to drop her off, know that she's having a good time, and then pick her up in the afternoon.
I think
feeling like she'd
have that trust. Just have that trust. And I know it's really tricky, especially at the moment. The climate is that early years is a little bit of a devil. Yes, there's been
some pretty rough stories. Yeah.
Right. There's been a very small population of people doing some things that aren't great, but that is not the majority. I think it's about being engaged with your service as well. Take 5 minutes just to chat to your teachers, chat to those educators, share a little bit of yourselves with them. Your children need to see you being comfortable and connected to the teachers. And then they're going to be like, well, hang on, my most trusted person, my parent, my caregiver thinks that my teacher's okay. Cool. I'm going to think that too.
Yeah. And
I think that's really, really important. If you've got the confidence, I'd be like, I don't need photos. I don't need, for me, one of the big things is, having Yotos and Tonys, those little music devices, the babies and toddlers. I'm like, I don't want that. I want you to read to my child. I want you to sing to my child.
Yeah, this is not rocket science. This is just good pedagogy. I know. Anna Russell,
right.
Love that you did this experiment. Love hearing about the results. Not surprised, but absolutely delighted that that's what you found. Thanks for joining me for this conversation today.
Thank you so much. It's an absolute pleasure. And I'll keep you updated with what the outcome is at the end of this fortnight. And we'll go from there.
Love to know how it goes.
Next we'll talk about how we can do it with families.
It's my life. It's all I ever talk about. Anna Russell looks after pedagogy research and practice at Best Chance with over 20 years of experience in early childhood education. The Happy Families podcast is produced by Justin Rulon from Bridge Media, with Mim Hammonds providing our admin and other support. And if you'd like more info to make your family happier, visit us at happyfamilies.com.au.